Right, so last night I decided to just literally come downstairs, turn on the camera, start chatting shit. And do you know what? It actually went down well. You seem to have enjoyed it. And do you know what, mate? I want this to just give off the vibe that we're just chilling and we're having a debate. And you don't have to agree with me. In fact, you can disagree with me and you don't even have to like me. But we're having a debate and we're chilling and we're relaxing. Let me know if you want to see this on a more night-to-night basis. Last night we were talking about Van Dijk and Thiago. It weren't really like a news or update video. I was just talking about why that's a good thing. Why Virgil van Dijk, just the presence of Virgil van Dijk, and a little bit of news about him moving into his next step of rehabilitation. Why that is such a good thing. Same with Thiago possibly being back. There's positives to take out of this time of crisis, and I thought, you know what, mate, I'm going to do the same tonight because I want to start, answering your comments, stuff, any questions that you have about Liverpool, any unpopular opinions and stuff like that, any debates that you want me to answer. I want to start doing it on a more daily basis, and I want to start doing a show like this, just a little 8 to 10 minute video, might sometimes be longer, might sometimes be shorter, of just me talking about a certain topic or anything related to that day. Today, we're going to be talking about Andrew Robertson, and it's a bit of a weird one if you're Andrew Robertson right now, because obviously when he first joins Liverpool, can't believe I'm about to give a background on and a story that you all already know. But Andrew Robertson gets injured over the past 2 weeks for Scotland, and obviously we find out in the last game, I think it was Scotland versus Israel, might be wrong there, but Clark decides to play Robertson, and he looked alright and there was no problems with his hamstring. So now he's back in contention for the Leicester game, which before weren't looking so likely. So that's great news, fantastic, boss, amazing. But as you can probably see by the title, Andrew Robertson at centre-back. What do you think about that? Before I give my opinion, I want to know your opinion. Please leave in the comments down below. What's your first initial thought about Robbo at centre-back? And you're not wrong, whatever you say, and even if after what I say you, for whatever reason, change your mind, you're not wrong still. It's about perspectives. It's about seeing it from different angles, and that's also what I do. I like perspectives, I like debates, I like talking, and there's even comments that I read all the time where I'm thinking, yeah, you know what, I got it wrong. That video, I didn't quite get it right, but you know what, mate, that's what's most exciting about it. So therefore, let me stop rambling and let me tell you why I think, or what I think of Andrew Robertson at centre-back. So first off, do I think it's a good thing or a bad thing? Well, if you ask me that question and you present that to me, I'm going to say Andrew Robertson at left centre-back is a very good thing. Let me tell you why. There's many reasons that actually come into this. First off, you've got to look at the player himself. Now, people are going to look at the fact that he's not the tallest person in the Premier League, and he's probably going to have a lot of struggle having to deal with the aerial ability of some players. Maybe possibly true, but let's not look past the athlete and the attributes that Robertson possesses. People seem to do this with Trent a lot, and they seem to think because he's so good offensively, they seem to disrespect his defensive work. Trent is not a bad defender, and I'm not going to go off on a hingent about Trent Alexander-Arnold because we already know how good he is. But when it comes to the Robertson side of things, people have that similar disrespect. Not the same. They don't say he's bad at defending, but people don't say he's great. And believe me, I've heard people say Digne's better than Robertson. I've heard people say Alphonso Davies is better than Robertson. Maybe I'm biased, but I don't know what they've done to jump Robertson, in the sense that Robertson's been doing it for more than 2 years now, and he's been looking very, very good doing it. So even though he gets a lot of assists, all I'm trying to point out to you is that don't be so naive, and again, not everyone is right. I'm definitely not right, but one thing I will tell you, Robbo's a good defender, and it only takes a basic football fan to notice that. Has he made mistakes before? Yes, but bear in mind that's on the wing where you're coming up against very quick strikers. In terms of a stand tackler, in terms of a one-on-one situation where he can just put his foot out, Robbo's very good. You can go and check that. And you know what, mate? I think Robbo at left centre-back with Matip to the right of him. Bear in mind, I'm coming to a point because I know people are screaming, no, put Fabinho and Matip. Let me get to that in a second. But first off, I think Robbo's got the attributes. And again, I'm only talking about this because there's been reports and there's been news, fans have suggested it, therefore I want to talk about it. And I've heard quite a lot of people say, it's not going to work, he's too small, he's a left back. Don't move the best left back in the world into a centre back, and you're right. But let's just put it into perspective. If we put Robbo left centre back, by the way, we've established he's a good defender, and then we put Tsimikas left back, who yes has been injured for the majority of the season, but has been able to get quite a lot of minutes for his national side in Greece. I know because I update you on the international news. Now this is the thing. Move Shimikas left back, move Robbo left centre back. Let me know what you think here. This means Fabinho isn't going to play centre back. Let me tell you why I think Jurgen Klopp, and not just what I want to do or whatever, but what Jurgen Klopp might approach this game with. I think Jurgen Klopp's going to want Fabinho in the midfield instead of centre back. This is a last minute change. If you watched my Liverpool-Leicester starting 11 prediction, this is a different opinion on what I thought it was going to be, but we know news can do that. I think now there's a possibility we could see Thiago moved into the midfield with Gini Wijnaldum and Naby Keita. I don't think Curtis Jones is going to come back in, even though it's a possibility. Obviously, there's no Hendo. Thiago's basically being ruled out. Therefore, I think that, let's just put it in this perspective. The last time that we didn't play Hendo or Thiago in that midfield, we got battered 7-2 by Villa. And people underestimate how poor the midfield was in that game without no leadership, without no direction. We're possibly not going to have Hendo again this game. In fact, it's more than likely, and he's basically... Well, in fact, Jurgen Klopp did say he's ruled out. Same with Thiago, pretty much. Therefore, you're going to need some defensive cover, and you're going to need someone who can control that midfield. Fabinho is someone who can control that midfield, and he's very good at doing it. Now, obviously, like I said, in that Villa game, I think Fabinho did play as well, but one thing that we do need, and one thing that we do know, is that that is probably an anomaly, and it's more of a flop. Whereas now we know that Fabinho is class. And Fabinho, I think, is feeling more of the role to step up. Now, let me get back to Robertson with the fact that Fabinho is now going to cover that midfield. I think if Jurgen Klopp feels, and this is just all rumours, if Jurgen Klopp feels Robbo is more than good enough to play in that position, if he feels like his defensive attributes is good enough, then I feel like he's going to do it. Regardless of how good, and yes, he is the best left-back in the world, in my opinion. Could I be being biased? Yes, but don't care. I think he's the best left-back in the world, and I can give many arguments to this. I don't just say players are the best players in the world. I can give you an argument for when I say it. I can give you one for Sadio Mane, why I think he's the best player in the world. I can give you an argument about Robertson to say why he's the best left-back in the world. I can give you an argument to say why Alisson is the best goalkeeper in the world. And I can very much certainly give you an argument to say why Virgil van Dijk is the best centre-back in the world. And there's many more players that I can probably argue that are the best in their positions. I can probably give Fabinho a shout in the holding position. Obviously, people can argue back with a few other players. I'm not going to get into that conversation. I'll leave that for another video. But let me just tell you now, people, I like debates. I like arguments. And I like this one, and I think it's interesting. And don't get me wrong, if you ask me, James, but would you start Robbo? You've mentioned a lot in this video, like you think Klopp will start him. Would you start him? And leave in the comments down below, would you start Robbo centre-back, even after everything that I've said? I would say no, but not because I think he'd do shit. I will play Fabinho at the back. And I'd try and do with the midfield whatever you can do, whether that's bringing Shaqiri, whether that's bringing Naby, Gini and Shaqiri. I don't care. I really do not give a toss. All I care about is a solid team performance. And I think, yes, I would go with Robbo left back, Fabinho centre back. And we can afford to do this because people like Shimikas can get minutes midweek against Atalanta. But do I think it will happen? Do I think there's a possibility that we could see Robbo at centre-back at this game because of Jurgen Klopp's choice, not mine? I'm not the manager, you know what I mean? I think we could. I think it's a possibility. Let me know what you think in the comments down below.